Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a second and just picture the pop culture landscape of 1985.
It's a very specific vibe.
A very specific vibe. We're talking pink neon, hair that just defies gravity, synthesizers everywhere, and of course the absolute explosion of the home video market.
Right.
And right in the middle of all this, a performer appears, seemingly out of nowhere. She steps in front of a camera, and for exactly 4 years, she doesn't just work. She completely, utterly dominates the adult entertainment industry.
And when we say dominate, we don't just mean she showed up and did a good job. We're talking about someone who effectively defined the aesthetic of the late 80s for an entire genre.
She became the template.
Exactly.
I mean, we are looking at a performer who films over 190 movies in less than 5 years. She wins the absolute highest acting honors in her field awards that were, basically the Oscars of that world. And then
right at the absolute apex of her fame,
poof, she vanishes.
It's a real Greta Garbo exit, isn't it? There's no reality TV show 20 years later, no tell-all book.
No podcast tour trying to reclaim the spotlight.
Just total silence.
It's one of the most fascinating career arcs we've ever looked at.
Yeah.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into the meteoric rise and the incredibly disciplined exit of Krista Lane.
And we've got a lot to work with.
We do. We're pulling from industry databases like IMDb and the IAFD, biography archives, and the award records from AVN and XRCO. Our mission is to figure out, how does someone become that prolific, that famous within her world, and then just leave it all behind without ever looking back?
I think the key here, and what makes this so interesting for you listening, is that Krista Lane really represents a bridge. She's the link between that golden age of romantic cinema, the stuff shot on actual film, and the high-volume video era that came right after.
She's a case study in professionalism.
Extreme professionalism in what was a pretty chaotic industry.
So let's start at the beginning, because when you see a trajectory this steep, you kind of assume this person was, I don't know, born in Hollywood or grew up in the system.
Not even close. The sources paint a very, very different picture. Krista Lane was actually born in Germany.
Oh, okay, so she was German-born.
Technically, yeah, February 26, 1959. But she moved to the U.S. when she was just 2, so her background is generally described as German-American.
Okay.
But what I find so interesting is her pre-fame life. Before she was a cover model or screen icon, she was working these incredibly normal, you could say blue-collar jobs.
I saw that in the notes. She was a nanny.
A nanny and also a dancer, a stripper, specifically to make ends meet. And I think that context is so important. It grounds her story, it paints this very human picture of someone who wasn't just chasing things, she was working, paying the bills.
Right. It really puts her later success into perspective. It wasn't just handed to her.
Not at all.
And speaking of things that weren't handed to her, let's talk about her name. Because when she finally decided to jump from dancing to film in 1985, she almost made a branding mistake that would have been, well, it would have been pretty funny looking back.
Oh, the name. This is a great little detail. She didn't want to be Krista Lane.
No. She had a pun she was very proud of. She wanted to go by Cameron Sims.
As in camera on Sims.
It's so bad. I mean, I appreciate the wordplay, but Cameron Sims sounds like your accountant.
Or a geography teacher, maybe. It just lacks that marquee quality, doesn't it? It feels a little too clever for its own good.
Whereas Krista Lane, that sounds like a star. It flows. It fits the era perfectly.
Totally.
So bullet dodged. She settles on the name. She enters the industry in 1985. She's 26. Now, in the context of this world, 26 isn't exactly old.
No, but it's not 18. She was starting with a bit more life experience under her belt.
You think that helped her?
That maturity was her secret weapon. She entered the industry with her boyfriend at the time, and because she was a little older, she treated it like a business from day one. But let's be honest, the business side only gets you so far if you don't have the look.
The aesthetic, we have to talk about it.
We do.
If you were going to build the quintessential 1980s fantasy in a lab, it would look exactly like Krista Lane.
Precisely. She was about 5'6", long brunette hair, often with those frosted highlights that were absolutely mandatory for 1987.
Oh, yeah.
And a figure that, all the sources just describe as voluptuous.
The numbers in the databases are so specific. 36DD 2434. That's an extreme hourglass shape.
It is. It's almost comic book proportions. In that physicality, it actually started this huge debate among fans at the time. You have to remember, this is pre-internet. People were writing actual letters to magazines like Atom or Cinema Blue, arguing about whether she was natural or enhanced.
And what was her story? What did she claim?
She always claimed she was natural. Now, some earlier photos might suggest otherwise, but honestly, it didn't really matter to the audience. The what was undeniable. And because of that, she became a cover model almost instantly.
That's a really key point. She wasn't just in the movie. She was on the newsstands. That kind of ubiquity is hard to get.
Right. Magazines like Hot Shots ran pictorials of her. There's one called To Blow a Thief, which is just such an 80s title. Being in those magazines was crucial for building your brand back then. It cemented her status as a still image icon.
It's true.
She had this specific sultry gaze that worked just as well on a glossy page as it did on a VCR. She knew how to work the camera.
Okay, so she's got the name, she's got the look, she's on the magazine covers, but plenty of people have those things and they don't become legends. The thing I can't wrap my head around is the sheer volume of work. You said it earlier, 190 videos between 1985 and 1989.
It's a staggering number. It's actually hard to comprehend that pace.
I tried doing the math before we started. That averages out to almost one movie a week, every single week for 4 years straight. No vacations, no sick days.
That's exactly right. And you have to understand the logistics of that. This isn't today where someone can create content on their phone and upload it in 20 minutes. These were actual productions.
Right, with lights, scripts, crews.
Craft services, yeah. She was working for the biggest studios of the time, VCA, Vivid, AVC, Metro. These shoots involved call times, makeup chairs, waiting around for lighting setups, hitting your marks. To do 190 of those in 4 years, that requires an industrial-grade work ethic.
It just sounds exhausting. It sounds like burnout waiting to happen.
And for most people, it was. Burnout was huge in that era. But the sources all say Lane was different. She was reliable. You can't just be attractive to work that much. You have to be the person who shows up on time, knows their lines, and can perform on command no matter how tired you are.
And clearly she could act. The sources don't just talk about her appearance. They emphasize her acting chops.
That is such a vital distinction. In the modern era, the industry is often seen as purely physical, just a series of intense scenes. But in the late 80s, narrative was still king. People rented tapes to watch a movie. And Krista Lane starred in films like Droid and Lethal Woman, both from 1988.
Yeah, is it exactly what I think it is?
It's a sci-fi parody, yes. And Lethal Woman implies a thriller. But think about it. To pull off a parody or a thriller, you actually have to deliver dialogue. You have to sell the premise, no matter how campy. And Lane was known for her ability to carry a plot and keep you engaged between the romantic scenes.
There's a quote here from a colleague of hers, Joey Silvera. He said she was easy to work with and genuinely enjoyed the work.
And that reputation is pure gold on a set. If you're known for bringing raw intensity and an uninhibited delivery while also being professional, directors are going to book you every single day. The sources say she was willing to do anything, which is industry speak for not having a long list of restrictions. She just threw herself into her roles.
Okay, so she's the hardest working woman in showbiz. She can carry a plot. This has to bring us to the awards, the hardware.
Right.
Because you don't film 190 movies without getting noticed.
Not at that level. And yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, there are very serious critics and awards in this industry.
Very serious.
You have the AVN's Adult Video News and the XRCO, the X-Rated Critics Organization. Winning one of those in the 80s was a huge deal. It was real validation from your peers.
And Krista Lane didn't just win some Best Newcomer award. She swept the big categories.
Her breakout really started around 87. She won the AVN for Best Couples Scene for a movie called Blame It on Ginger. That really put her on the map as a top-tier performer.
But 1988 seems to be the year it all just went supernova for her. And it's all centered around one movie, Deep Throat 2.
This is such an important piece of context. The original Deep Throat from the 70s is probably the most famous adult film of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
It crossed over into the mainstream. Celebrities talked about it. It was a whole phenomenon.
So making a sequel over a decade later,
yeah,
that feels incredibly risky. That's like trying to make The Godfather Part 2. The bar is impossibly high.
The pressure was immense. And Krista Lane was cast as the lead. If she had been just mediocre, the movie would have been a joke, a cheap cash grab. Instead, because of her performance, it was hailed as a masterpiece of the genre.
And it says here she just cleaned up at the awards for it.
She did. She won the XRCO Award for Best Actress, she won the AVN for Best Couple Scene, and, most importantly, she won the AVN Award for Best Actress film.
I notice you're emphasizing film there.
Yeah.
Why is that distinction so important? She won for video the year before. What's the difference?
This is a crucial technical detail that really explains the hierarchy of the 80s. The industry was in this massive transition. They were moving from shooting on actual 35mm film stock, which is expensive, hard to light, just a whole process, to shooting on videotape, which was cheap and fast.
Videotape is how you get to 190 movies in 4 years.
Exactly. Video was for volume, but film was prestigious. Film was cinema. It just looked better. It had depth. So winning Best Actress Film was the heavyweight title. It meant you weren't just a content creator, you were a movie star.
So for her to win that for Deep Throat 2.
It confirmed she wasn't just a volume player. She was a legitimate top-tier talent.
And she proved she had range, too. Because the very next year, 1989, she wins again. But this time for Best Supporting Actress in Bodies and Heat the Sequel.
Which I love because it shows humility, right? She didn't always have to be the lead. She could come in, play a supporting role, steal her scenes, and go home. She was a team player.
So let's just look at the timeline. It's 1989. She's 30 years old. She's got the Best Actress trophy, the Best Supporting trophy, the Best Scene trophy. She is on every magazine cover. She is at the absolute peak of her powers. And then she stops.
Just stops. 1989 rolls into 1990, and she essentially hangs it up.
That is so rare. Usually, especially in that industry, you see a few other paths. People try to cross over into mainstream acting, or they try a music career, or, they cling to the fame as it fades.
Right. We see peers of hers who tried that and failed, or who decades later are still doing the convention circuits, selling autographs. Krista Lane did none of that.
The sources are very clear on this. 0 documented mainstream roles.
None. She stuck to her genre while she was active, and when she stopped completely. No cameo in a B-horror movie. Nothing.
What about her personal life? Did she leave to get married, have kids?
It's a total vault. We know she was heterosexual, but there is no confirmed public information on a marriage or children after her career. She didn't sell her wedding photos to a tabloid. She didn't write a memoir. She just went back to being a private citizen.
That silence is almost louder than her career was. It creates this mystery.
It creates a mystique. It freezes her in time. In 2005, she was inducted into the AVN Hall of Fame, a huge honor. It cements her status as a legend. But even then, she didn't use it as a springboard for a comeback tour.
It's so interesting to look at her reputation today. You see modern forums and vintage enthusiast sites. They still talk about her constantly.
They do. She's cited as a benchmark. When people talk about the look of the 80s, they post pictures of Krista Lane. They talk about her sultry gaze, her expressive face, and this natural ease.
Natural ease. That's a great phrase. It implies she wasn't forcing it.
Not at all. She wasn't performing at the camera. She was present in the scene. And that's the difference between someone just doing a job and someone who is a master of their craft. Even in a genre that's often dismissed as just physical, you can tell when someone is genuinely talented.
It really makes you think about the idea of a brand versus just work. We live in a time where everyone is told they need to build a personal brand that lasts forever. You have to be on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You have to constantly remind people you exist.
It's the attention economy. If you're not posting, you're dying. That's the mindset today.
Right. And here's Krista Lane. She worked incredibly hard for 4 years. She treated it like a profession. She clocked in, she dominated, she took the trophies, and she clocked out.
And there's something so incredibly respectable about that. She mastered a controversial medium, and let's be honest, that industry was not an easy place to navigate, especially in the unregulated 80s, and she didn't let it consume her public identity forever.
She left on a high note.
The highest note possible, she walked away a winner. She never had that decline phase. So in the minds of the fans, she is forever that 30-year-old superstar accepting the Best Actress award. She never became a punchline.
It's a powerful lesson in knowing when to leave the party.
Absolutely. Leave them wanting more, and they will remember you forever.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with today. In an era of digital footprints, where everything we do is recorded, uploaded, and cached forever, where nothing is ever truly deleted, isn't there something incredibly powerful about the ability to simply disappear?
To define yourself by your work and then just reclaim your privacy completely. It's a power move that very few people have the discipline to actually pull off.
Krista Lane pulled it off. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.